Good morning, December 8th, 2022, our regular board meeting agenda. We're located at 8885 West, 3500 South, the General Office Building. I would like to call this meeting to order, and if you guys will stand and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So here today with us is we got Clint Dilly, our legal counsel, Nathan Bracken, sorry, geez, I've only said it 100 times, Dallas Henline, Jeff White, Mick Sudbury, Danny Stewart, Leal Fitzgerald, Raymond Mondragon. Oh, sorry, Andrew. I'm going to get that right one day. Sumption. And Trevor Andre. Thank you. I'd like I said, I'd like to welcome public and guests. Does anybody here have any, well, first let me say, does anybody have any issues with anything on our agenda? I see none. Any public comment? If there's something in the agenda as we go, if you want to address it, just raise your hand and we'll bring it. Okay, so approval of common consent items, Jeff.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held November 17th, 2022.
I'll second that.
It's been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the 2023 budget hearing held November 17th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the expenses for November 7th to November 27th, 2022. The general expenses being $940,250.60. The Zion's bank bond payment, November payment, let's see, made before 11/7. Oh, the payment was made on November 7th. Let's see. Oh. So,
Just indicating.
don't we have a
it's
Zion's
not
bank
on.
bond payment that has to be approved?
It'll be on next board meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, I guess it'll be just the general expenses, $940,250.60.
I'll second that.
Been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on to item G, our department report. Clint?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to start off my portion recognizing some exceptional employees that we've got here and highlighting an example of something that I thought was pretty remarkable and kind of a testament to the direction we're going. So we've got Mandy Whitmore, she's our accountant, and Mike Harms, who has been with the district in a few different areas, but most recently has come over to our customer service team. He's kind of taking us to the next level. Along with Mandy, I wanted him to share something we've been doing recently that I think is an example of us shifting more from a reactive to proactive. Would you guys mind sharing what we're talking about here? Okay. You don't have to stand. Just speak loud.
Okay. So for our readings, we run reports for high usage, and some of those reports we compare against usual, like normal usage for our users or abnormal use. When they become abnormal use, that triggers us to maybe do some more research. And as a team, we have all decided that what we do is when we have a high usage is that we're going to go out and we're going to do a download on our meters if it's a smart meter and see if there's any indication of a leak. But we've actually evolved a little bit further when we have Mike to be able to go out and speak with the customers and let them know that they have some high usage, because we want to get ahead of accumulating any other higher usage
Right.
for these customers and saving water, of course.
Well, I think that's an awesome idea, and then that way, they don't get caught, down the road with their pants down, like, oh, I didn't,
2 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
What's your threshold? What?
we go over, if we check over 100,000 gallons,
Okay.
that kind of is the trigger, and we compare it to their usage in the summertime. Sometimes that's just what people are using, sometimes depending on their,
Size, if he rolls up on the size of the lot and sees an acre piece of ground, you're gonna say, oh, this makes sense if it's irrigation. But if it's a tiny little lot down, 8700 west or 80 on the.
So if their normal usage is, let's say 50,000, so the trigger there would be, if it's 150,000, that would be the trigger?
yes.
Okay.
So we just kind of compare it to what they have used. If it seems abnormally high, or it has been for a couple of months even, then we're like, we need to go out and do some more research and gather more.
So it shows up like that as a trend too on the system. They'll show up that they're using that much more 30 days continuously. Then we go out and actually download and check it.
Yeah, I've seen 2 months, $1,500 worth of water excess,
Yeah.
and it was a leak that they didn't even know they had.
Yeah.
$1,500.
So-
That's a lot of water.
Obviously, Mandy, she thinks of all angles. She's like, there's risk to what we're doing here. We don't want people to feel like we're upset with them using that water, right? We have to communicate that we're here to help. And Mike, if you've met Mike, if Mike can't do that, I don't know that anybody can. He's really great with the customers. But it can be challenging when someone feels like, why are you telling me I'm using too much water? Well, no, we're not telling you you're using too much water.
Just
We
your
see
usage.
a potential concern,
Yeah.
and we want to help get to the bottom of it. And we could potentially save you some money and save water for the whole community. So I just wanted to compliment him
I think that's awesome.
and let the board recognize him before.
I'll give you the comparison that gets you upset. When they tell me I'm using more electricity than Dan Pay does, I get upset when they say, oh, you're using more gas than Dan Pay does.
Yeah, we don't want to.
No, I'm just saying though, but that,
Yeah, when you make it personal.
when you compare with just them, then I don't see a problem.
Yeah, there.
It's like that Rocky Mountain Power says, they send out a thing and show you, like, here's where you're at, and here's where everybody else is around. I thought,
Yeah, that makes you feel, we want to avoid that,
Is yours
right?
like that?
yeah, well,
Oh,
yeah,
that sounds
and I'm always the highest, because I got the pool pump, and all
Yeah,
that.
everybody's situation
Yeah.
is unique,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to commend them and.
That's good.
No, that's awesome. And what I like about it too is, like, for example, let's just say you look at mine's way high, and you're gonna come to me and say, hey, Mick, I just wanna let you know, compared to what your other months were, now it's way high. You might wanna check to see if you have a leak. And see, and I would really like that. I think that would be good because, like you say, 2 months down the line, your bill's $1,500. It's like,
Show up, yeah, until it's too late.
The other person I want to recognize, we wouldn't be able to do that if Lee Isle wasn't making.
you stand
that
up so we can, oh, there you are.
So she is instrumental in making that be able to happen, and part of all the goals that she's been working on has been making operations more efficient, clarifying expectations, and we're really seeing the benefit.
And you know what's cool about this is we're at a point now that everybody's got a part where it ain't just all on one person where because I said with all this other stuff, you probably couldn't be doing this. Thanks, we got Andrew now. That's a big plus to take, and I mean, so it's just kind of cool, and it works. We as the board was really skeptical and nervous at it at first because we thought, you were Wonder Woman, could keep doing what you're doing, and when we have a problem, we just come jump on you, and then you go from that to this, but yeah, it works really. I mean, I'm impressed.
We appreciate that board support. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Excuse us, we do have a gift card.
Gift card for Mike and
Yes, great.
Mandy
present
for
to
recognition.
them. If you'll come up here.
We appreciate you.
Well,
Congratulations. Hey, thank you.
Hey,
Keeps
Well,
it big.
where's
Haven't taken it.
where's ours?
Raymond?
Raymond?
My desk.
That's for you. Congratulations.
Raymond?
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Raymond?
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you,
Keep
guys.
coming up with
Raymond,
good
where's
ideas.
ours?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
A couple other things I just wanted to highlight. we're down to the final recommendation on the candidate interview process. Andrew will be able to provide the board some update on a final recommendation. And so we'll be looking forward to the board's feedback on that and give you an update on our process there. We did have Jordan Valley needed to make another repair on that same line that caused the air issue. We've implemented our protocol, so we immediately isolated that, right?
Yes, what we did is isolated it, and I talked with Jordan Valley, and actually, they flushed, they're putting back online this morning.
Okay.
So they flushed all day yesterday, and again
well-
this morning, and we flushed on a hydrant and isolated going into our system, so we have a hydrant, so this morning we'll have Jordan Valley again back online.
But
So this is the second
But
time this
we've
has
gotta
happened.
have a sample, right?
Yep, we gotta have
Our
a sample.
samples, and verified that there's no issues.
So this is the second time
Second
it's
time on
happened.
the
Yeah.
same line.
Yep. Yeah, they had a section in the pipe this time.
So I think we're making good progress there. The other thing you'll notice, and you'll start maybe hearing some feedback from customers, our lead and copper team will start inventorying service lines. And so you're gonna see a lot of activity. Maybe you guys can give them an update on just what they'll be expecting.
Now, we have to go into the home and take a sample to do that?
No,
The
what it
first
is,
part is
is just verifying.
more outside at the meter
Outside.
box, right?
Okay.
Yep, we'll verify the hot side, or you can go ahead and do.
Trevor's been
I do the
instrumental
same
in
thing
helping
with him.
coordinate this with the operations.
So how do you draw a sample? We don't have spigot or any.
Well, it's not necessarily a sample, so right now we're doing visual inspection of the material. So anytime, right now, like, an example would be on Florence, Edith, Catherine, you know, we're having the contractor document what lateral they see on the homeowner side. We're obviously replacing our side, so now we have documentation on all of those services. The construction crew will go out and pull a meter lid and see if they can visually see those connections coming in. And then we know customer side, our side. And then AE2S has been helping us, I don't know if they're here, but create an app within GIS where the construction crew can go in, tap on that service lateral, input that information and track it all. If we need to do more investigation, we'll use the vac truck and we'll go down to see if we can, you know, locate.
So
those.
is it older services that are suspect here?
As part of what AE2S has done is they've identified anything that's under was built prior to 1990 is more of a concern. That's when, you know, lead and all, you know.
Solder, lead solder joints that have more lead in it,
So is it the gooseneck
iron.
that feeds the meter?
That's some of it, yes. So it's a little complex, and then we're also asking the homeowners, which will send out specifically a letter to those that were built 1990 or older, asking them to go into their crawl space or basement and look at where it comes into the home and help us verify that way as well. So we have multiple different angles to verify those.
I hear a problem there. I don't see people going in, what the hell am I looking at?
Yeah.
So as
That's
part
why
of
we're
it-
trying to narrow it down just to the people we're most concerned about.
And
Like, I'm
we'll,
gonna get
as
my
part of that,
space.
we're gonna put together a little, you know, instructional pamphlet that has some, you know, description of what they would need to look for, some pictures, you know, to step by step, so that
So-
make it easier and less questions.
I warned you before about this. You're gonna create a big concern, seriously. So I don't know how we could inform people better than cause a big concern about.
So we have been doing the step process of, you know, informing them the lead and copper rule, informing them that we're going to be contacting those people directly, you know, that this is
Required.
required.
By the-
You know, so we've been trying to bring it to their attention, have them start thinking about it, giving them information leading up to asking them to help us.
I think we better invite some people over and have some kind of a meeting to invite people to come, because
We
people are
certainly
gonna
could.
feel,
We could- we
people are gonna feel like they're drinking contaminated water. And not because we're furnishing contaminated,
Yeah.
because they may have contaminated pipes. This is gonna make a big concern, I guarantee you. Because they,
You what, Todd?
You saw the flyer. You got the flyer? Yeah. That's the second, like, more broad flyer.
Not the targeted.
That's not the targeted one while we're asking, yep. But yeah, we have got some calls on it with questions, but not dramatic
Yet.
so far.
So we are anticipating, yes, people being nervous, wanting to know more information.
So I have a question for you. Let's
Yeah,
just say that they don't give you no feedback.
Yep.
And at that point, we'll have to actually go door to door and try to get some information from them. That's the next step,
okay.
which we're hoping we'll get more.
What happens if you get an older person that has a crawl space that can't get down there?
And then at that point, when we go do the investigation, then we'll actually do it for them.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
like down off 8,000 of that,
It's kind of a unique, this is really somewhat unique in the history of regulations, because it's forcing the public utility to get more into the private side.
Right.
Which is not typical, right? And so it does create concerns exactly like you're bringing up, and it's somewhat unique. So I think we're trying to be cognizant. You mentioned that. We've had quite a few discussions with AATUS to make sure we do it the best way we can. But you're right, it's a unique situation where, as a public utility, we are constantly trying to avoid getting into the private side to reduce liability, reduce risk.
So what happens though if
But
you get over
we
there?
have to, we are mandated now
yeah,
to take that step.
right.
So what happens if we get over there and we find it is, lead and whatever? I mean, now do they have to change their pipes out?
That's the next step.
So
but
we're-
this is the first step.
Is there is there grant money out there
Yeah,
for,
There is. There's actually funding, to replace that.
have we said, let them know that? Because, I'd be all nervous, like, oh,
Yeah, like,
No,
I can't
mean,
afford that.
we haven't put that,
Until
Well,
we can
we-
secure that funding,
yeah.
which part of this is we're out a little bit ahead so that we have the best shot to
We
secure
are.
the funding.
We are.
Well, like down off 8,000 Thomas subdivision, we had a groundwater problem there. They've only got crawl spaces. When the groundwater rose, it was so bad, it was even corroding the copper pipes under there. Not corroding, it was tarnishing them. But you couldn't even hardly get in there without water. Now, we're pumping that down on the north end. I think we're putting that water into our system, the groundwater that we're taking out, we're putting into our secondary.
Yeah.
And that's really helped a lot. So it's dried off those crawl spaces.
Yeah.
But,
One thing that sorry, Jeff.
well, I'm just saying, I don't see a lot of people wanting to get in their crawl space.
One advantage that we have going for us, that I think it's important that we remember to communicate to our customers, is our source water tends to be more depository rather than corrosive. So our water tends to put materials on the walls of the pipe rather than pull material out.
Don't tell them that.
I'm just saying, that is why we potentially have not had as many issues with lead and copper as, say, a Flint, Michigan. Their problem was the water they were delivering was leaching,
Extracting.
was pulling all the water. We don't have that situation, so we can tell our customers with confidence, hey, we don't have the source water that creates those conditions. It's not that we're not concerned and we're not gonna help and follow the EPA's guidance. We're doing that, but have faith that the environment of the water, source water, does not leach.
When that Flint thing came out, I had people call me going, hey, do I have a problem? Do I have a problem? I said, no, you don't live in Flint, Michigan. You don't have a problem.
There's truth to that, but it's,
Wanted to make the board aware of
okay,
that.
thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
The only other thing I think I wanted to highlight on here was we did get a written customer compliment from Christy Miller. She had a leak check and wanted to compliment overall friendly and prompt customer service, she specifically mentioned Mike, Kim, and Virginia. So I thought I'd pass that.
Awesome, thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, Raymond, let's go to the water side. No, let's go to the engineering side, sorry.
All right, so, engineering, the drinking water, Florence, Edith, they're moving as well as they can. There's boulders, like I mentioned in the past, so making sure that, they don't create additional issues. We did have a leak in the existing line that was quickly fixed. But that project's going well. They'll be tying over services on a portion of it. With that project, the sewer over in the Freeport, just want to give you a heads up, there was additional material when they were digging the trench. It got wider and wider, just sloughing in, and some additional curb and gutter. So there'll likely be a cost change order for that. We don't know the exact amount. Engineering's going through tickets and verifying quantities, but that project, that portion of the project though, they have finished all their surface improvements and completed the sewer in full there. The pump station, the secondary, I don't know if
Right up here.
you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
I think it's looking great with, it's got a little bit different look to it with the colors. It's not brown, it's more of a darker tone and with lighter brick, but I think it looks really nice. And
Okay.
that'll be,
I've seen them working on that.
We should set up a kind of a celebration walkthrough for the board
We can do that.
when we're done, if the board's interested. we
Yeah.
can set something up.
absolutely. I would like to do that. For the drinking water, we're scheduled to do that probably in January.
Okay.
It'll be a shutdown of the pump station and doing some improvements in there. But, I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Raymond.
Conway water production for November was 88.87 million gallons, or 272.77 acre feet, an 11.14% decrease from 2021. Years to date, production was 1,610.08 million gallons, or 4,941.52 acre feet. 3.13 decrease from 2021. We have purchased 765.51 acre feet of water from Jordan Valley as of November 2022. Call out report, total number of call outs, 18. Total number of hours paid, 64.75. 5 service leaks, 13 miscellaneous, Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dallas.
Okay, the collections crew, I just wanted to give the board a little bit of a heads up. They've started their annual manhole inspection, so you'll see them out in the town. They've got to pop and inspect every manhole, so it'll be our service truck with the lights on and then an operator walking in front of it, so, and I just didn't want somebody to call and have a concern. That's just what we're gonna be doing, and we'll be doing that for the remainder of the year. We've had some recent opportunity to do some cross-training with Paul Bird and Bob the mechanic. He's been working with him for a few days to do some pump and motor maintenance at the pump wells and the EDR, and also do some VFD troubleshooting. So if you guys can remember, Paul came to the district with a little bit of a mechanical background. So it's been good to have him as another tool to discuss service and maintenance items. And we're trying to get him more involved with Bob, so that's been really good. Switching over to the treatment plant, we're fully operational with our winter strategy. The biology reacts a lot slower during the winter, so process has changed a little bit. It gives us less wiggle room. You know, the red flags don't pop up as quick, and then it's tougher to get things back under control when the weather's colder. But we've got a good strategy in place, and we don't foresee any problems. Hopefully it'll be smooth, just like last winter. We had Jeff Zedek from Thatcher Company come out in an effort to talk to us about the chemicals that we use and how we can potentially get a more accurate dosage rate in an effort to save some money. We've created an Excel spreadsheet that helps us calculate dosage and concentrations. And then we've also set up some time for some additional chemical training and some chemical equipment training. So I did want to highlight one particular thing with two of our operators down at the treatment plant. 2 weeks ago, I was in a manager's meeting Monday morning, business as usual, and I received a text that says the Palmer pump has failed. The Palmer pump had failed, which means we weren't coagulating, which means we couldn't waste. And what that means for us is basically we're not sending any solids out the back of the plant, so big time trouble. I thought to myself, well, what are we gonna do? It just so happened that Bo Lamper, the lead man, was scheduled off for vacation that day. By 1 o'clock in the afternoon, our operators had taken it upon themselves to troubleshoot the pump, grab spare parts off the shelf, replace the pump part that was damaged, and get the product back online.
That is awesome.
And I mentioned this to Dilly, the exciting thing about that was, you know, it's a routine maintenance item that sounds real basic, but, you know, a year ago, we might not have been able to do that. We didn't have the spare parts in inventory, and we didn't have the training on that pump. I thought the exciting thing, I said to the boys, where did you know, we've never torn that pump apart before, where did you see that? And they said last year they sat in on a class at the WEIU conference, and they had some vendor maintenance people there, and they walked them through that repair. So
That's pretty cool.
it's nice to see that training effort start to pay off. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got.
Did you, by chance, reward them?
Yeah, we did. I've been working with Andrew to kind of do what we've done with Mandy and Mike here.
Okay.
Some gift cards and just
Okay.
some positive recognition.
That's,
Do we need to have a whole spare pump on hand?
We do, yep. So we took the piece that failed out of a spare part or a spare pump on the shelf, and then we reordered the spare part, put it back in, and
awesome.
it was the stator in the pump is what it was.
Oh, wow.
That's
So
pretty,
if they take parts out of a spare one, kind of helps them know how it goes back together
Yeah, that's
in the repair.
Like,
awesome.
Thank you, Dallas.
Okay, Andrew.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt. So the monthly compliance, legal requirements and internal policies checklist, we've gone through that. We're not out of compliance on anything. Again, the ones I've highlighted are the State Money Management Council requires a report at the end of December that's due January 31st, so that's coming up. And then the fraud risk assessment on page 2, we're reviewing that today and hopefully approving it.
Because look at when
And then,
I screw up.
as you'll find out with Olympus Insurance, we've reviewed our bonding and insurance requirements, and they went through the bidding process again.
Sorry, I screwed up. Apologize. I was on my old page.
It's okay. But they've reviewed a few different underwriters and got new bids on that, so
Awesome.
that's my report for that.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. I know you gave me this and I just said it here and it's like, okay, Andrew, your turn.
So, as you've seen today, some of the things that people are, that we're doing is, we've been focusing on recognition. That's some of the training that we've done in the last month with the managers, is building a culture of recognition. To date, we've done 7 of those recognition cards. The managers have done a good job at finding people that are doing exceptional work and rewarding them and giving them the recognition they deserve. We'll start meeting with our safety committee next month. The managers had suggested that to start, the leads be part of the safety committee so that we could get this started in the right direction. So we'll start piggybacking those meetings directly after our safety meeting.
Andrew, I just wanted to make sure if that kickoff meeting, is there any interest from the board to sit in on that to make sure that the board's vision, is that something that the board would be interested in?
Probably be good.
If any of you, if you'll
When
just
is that
send
gonna
out the
be?
date, when you set that up,
Yeah, I'll send out.
it would be nice to hear their vision,
Okay.
so that the
Third
team,
Wednesday, correct?
the team hears
Last
what,
Wednesday.
what the
Last
board would like to see with that. And maybe even, legal.
Yeah, one thing with that, if the full board's gonna be there, we need to think about whether that requires a public notice.
Yeah.
There is, however, the way that the Open and Public Meetings Act is set up is that certain types of meetings don't qualify as a quote-unquote meeting that requires Open and Public Meeting Act compliance. So for instance, if the board were to go take a tour of the treatment plant to see some new facilities that have been installed,
right.
that isn't something that you would need to notice.
Okay.
What triggers the notice if something's going to be discussed at the meeting that's going to require the board to act on it at a later date. So if we're gonna talk about policies or
Potentially,
things,
yeah,
then that
potentially
probably will require notice, which isn't
There,
a
there
big
will be
deal.
discussion of policy, yes.
Yeah, so okay, that probably will require notice
So
if
it
the
would
full
be,
board wants to
yeah.
attend.
So you
if a
could you
single
actually do an open
representative-
and a closed, right?
Well, I don't know if any of that would qualify for a closed. In order to
Okay,
close a meeting, you
okay.
have to have certain things.
But you could just notify it and then, okay, I get what
We
you're
would just
saying.
have to notice the meeting. We say, look, the board is going to be meeting with staff to talk about HR policies, and we notice it, and the public would have to be.
So could it be classified as a workshop still?
It would be a workshop, but workshops are still expressly required to be publicly.
Okay,
So we'll notify you and let you know,
okay,
and you guys can decide how you want to participate if you do it all at
Okay.
that point.
Yeah, I mean, now, if there are specific discussion points about particular personnel, that's something we can go into close for. But if it's just general policy, that's probably needs to be open.
okay.
We just completed our SWOT analysis that we've been talking about doing with meeting with, all the employees and management team. So for those that aren't aware of what SWOT analysis is, it's your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Your strengths and weaknesses would be internal strengths, internal weaknesses, and your opportunities and threats would be external opportunities, external threats. We've given that to Clint for review. I will be presenting to the management team. I can also present it to the board as well, if that's what you would like, or we can just send it to you. I think you probably have a copy of it.
That was part of your goal.
In the review packets, for the goal packets. And then the last thing for me is just to touch upon what we have done for our hiring process that we're hoping to wrap up soon. So we put together a list of questions. I initially screened a handful of candidates. We invited some of them in. We put together a list of questions for an evaluation form based off of questions that would let us know where they lie with culture and team, their personal skill set, and how they would fit in with the Magna Water District. There's a rating on there of 1 to 5. We had a panel of myself, the 2 operation managers, and 2 union leads that were part of it. We asked the questions, we filled it out. After that, if we felt like the candidate was worth continuing on in the process, our leads took them to see them do some hands-on things and talk to them about tools. From there, if the leads felt comfortable with them moving forward, they were able to go meet with the whole team, with the operations managers. And so that was our process. The managers have come back with some names for recommendation that we'll address in close, if that's what you guys would like to do.
Okay,
That's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, let's move on to administrations, item H. I'm on the right page. Okay, here we go.
Item H is review of the employee wage and benefits with comparable agencies and possible motion to approve an 8.7% COLA increase for all employees. effective January 1st, 2023. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to present on that, or did you guys have?
Well,
some
let me
thoughts on
just,
that?
do you have anything you want to address to these guys?
No,
Jeff?
you, Jeff?
Jeff?
Well, I wondered where the 2.5%, I thought we have a district 2.5% increase.
We do.
Is that including this?
That is not, as
So
pre-
is
as-
that in addition to
that-
this?
That would be in addition to this as presented. The reason for that, initially, we had talked about just an 8.7% cost of living. That was the initial. After some investigation with where we're at, we feel like we have fallen behind in some of the positions. And we felt like it would put us back in line closer to the middle of the pack if we were to include an 8.7 and the union negotiated 2.5%. We're really, I wanted to just say that we're fortunate that the board has taken the actions that they have taken. I think in general, as we survey the employees, when Andrew conducted the SWOT analysis, one of the really positive things that came out of that was the benefits. I think the district has always placed a lot of emphasis on benefits, and it shows in the employees. They feel like they're getting a really strong benefits package. I think that under normal circumstances, with normal inflation rates, I think the district's done a great job of keeping up with wages. However, we've had some extreme circumstances the past 2 years. I think the board was really helpful to our situation by taking the additional 2.7% that was done last year to try to offset last year's inflation. We got really close to what the cost of living was, and that helps put us in a better position where we're at right now. Our concern as a management team is we're starting to get concern amongst the employees. One of the weaknesses was wages in the feedback. There was some concern there amongst the employees. As we've done surveys and looked across for comparison, we feel like that's a potentially valid concern.
So I want to stop you for 1 second. So when you said that the employees are, one of their complaints is the pay, what about their benefits? Do they ever stop and look at their
Yeah,
benefits?
I
I
think
mean,
that's-
we as the community pay 97% of their benefits.
Yeah.
And they pay 3%. And as you told me, one of the other agencies pay 100% on everything now. So I just,
Yeah, it's absolutely, the district, I think, in general, has been out ahead on benefits, and it's been really strong. What we've seen, based on the looking around, is that other districts have had to raise their benefits.
Right.
To get more competitive, because the labor market has been so aggressive.
So the question I have, like when we get talking about these other agencies that went ahead and pay 100% on the benefits, so I'm curious to see how long that's going to last before they throw it back into our lap and say, okay, we're only going to pay 80%. You're going to pay 20. I think it's kind of a sales point. You're selling the benefit to get them to come work for you, and after you get them for so long, I don't know, because I know benefits I've got great benefits, but I know what they cost.
Yeah, it's, this is a tough decision. This is an unusual couple of years where agencies are really having to find how much they can do. The district is in a fortunate position that the financial vision and the strong and sound planning that has happened at the board and been executed by the management team has put us in a really strong position. As we talked a couple months back, I think it was, we have decreased operating expenses 2 years in a row.
Right.
That, I think, is a direct, we see that as a direct, the line is from the board's goals and visions to the management teams setting goals and pushing themselves to find ways to improve operations, to the employees. That really comes down to, you've got a great group of.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
So it's really a philosophy of, are we going to continue to keep pace and make sure we're in market competitiveness? Or do we certainly can push it down the road? I just get concerned.
The thing is with this COLA, I can't remember the last time we even did COLA. I mean, I don't know if we've ever done it.
It's
since-
unusual. This isn't, these
I
are
mean, that's what I'm
unusual
saying,
times.
and, you know, I mean,
I think you're seeing it across the board.
okay,
Social
but what I'm
Security-
trying to say, well, with having Andrew here, he can dig into that.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, I don't wanna keep getting surprises, if that makes sense, like, okay, we're doing an 8.7, and then we don't do it for 3 or 4 years. Now, it's gonna be 11 point whatever, you know?
That's the concern. If we don't make some of these adjustments now, it gets compounded. Because 8.7, if we don't do it this year, is somewhat locked in. If inflation is 5% next year, which the good news is we think it's gonna be less next year. It adds the 5% on top of the 8.7 plus the factor of the 5 on the 8.7. So you can see, just like compounding interest, if you don't make some of those hard decisions, it's just like rates. The board has been visionary in doing reasonable rate increases consistently, rather than having to come, not do any, and then come ask the public for a 20-25% rate increase. We've never done that out here. And we won't need to if the board chooses to do the 8.7%
Well,
increase.
it's like your
It
social,
doesn't directly translate.
it's like your social security, you say it's 8.7, but as I was talking to my brother last night, he goes, yeah, I get an 8.7, but then it gets ate up all on Medicare, all up on the insurance part of it. So really,
We're covering that
right,
in the district,
Right.
so.
Yeah, it's tough. We recognize the position for the board. We would not be coming to this as a management team if we didn't think it was absolutely necessary.
Well, the only thing that I don't understand is we don't even talk about the 2.5% that we have approved every year.
There at the bottom of that page, the
Yeah.
MWD 2.5% CBA, that'd be your collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
part
even
that
our
collective-
administrative, that's not part of the bargaining agreement, and we've approved a 2.5% every year.
Yes, that is true.
And so what I don't agree with is you came up with this 8.7, the other districts don't have the 2.5 in there, and yet you're using their 8.7,
Well,
and they don't have a 2.5 every year like we've already given the establishment.
Well, and that's where the market analysis, we see that they've made significant adjustments, possibly more in the past years, because if you look at the starting wages, Andrew's put together, we're near the, and that's included in the packet, we're near the lower end. He's also done some additional research into the top of the operator level. We haven't got all of that data back, but we're also seeing separation there with the other districts at the top of the operator end. So that's where our concerns are coming from, is we gotta remain competitive. So this is based on quite a bit of discussion amongst the management team, analysis of other districts, just to see where we're at, and that's why we're recommending. But ultimately, that is up to the board and what the board feels like they can justify. So we certainly recognize, and we'll take any direction that the board feels like we need to do at this point.
The thing I worry about, you guys were worried about, the guy starts out here very low. Your concern is there was a guy starting low, but if you look that he doesn't have to pay any health insurance or anything else, that does offset that low rate. But your concern is that sometimes the guys get all trained and everything else, and they're starting to catch lead men weight. So I don't know how we fix that. That's what concerns me, because that concerns you guys.
Yes, it does. There's
So
two-
I don't
those are
know how
two-
we're gonna fix that. That's the
We've
one
got-
that concerns
yeah,
me.
and we've got some ideas for that, but that would be handled in the union negotiation.
Okay,
This, we think it's better strategy to handle a cost of living inflation adjustment separate from a union negotiation. But that's because we think it is something that's understandable to everybody. Everybody is seeing inflation, right? Everybody across the board.
But I don't agree with all the analysis at 8.7, but you haven't included the 2.5 in there. Why are you adding that on top of there? That's what I don't understand.
Because that
If
is,
8.7 is where the industry is,
it's.
then why
there's-
don't we take into account the 2.5 that we're already gonna get January 1st? I don't understand it here.
If you look at the comparative data, actually, a lot of the industry is more than 8.7. I'm saying just the social security rate.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's what the broad, everybody's feeling. But on top of that, the water agencies that we're comparing to, and maybe I didn't communicate this clearly, are doing even more than that.
Yeah, but you gotta stop into consideration, our district's smaller than a lot of these districts. Like Jordan Valley Water and,
Certainly, but our employees are asked to do quite a bit higher level of complexity work. We're operating treatment facilities. Most of the other agencies that we're comparing to don't have their own sources or are very much of their own source.
I heard that
or
from the
treatment-
previous manager.
Or treatment facilities, so it does require a higher level of expertise. Dallas, do you have some comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think this conversation starts out with a compliment to the board. You guys have always maintained the strategy that you haven't wanted us to be the highest and you haven't wanted us to be the lowest. And I think the graph shows that we're somewhere in the middle, maybe teetering towards the lower edge of center. And I think what we have to do, and our recommendation as a management team would be, you know, we've been tasked with collecting some comparison data, which we have. And I think we need to understand this is a unique decision. And no matter what anybody around us is doing, you guys have you've done so well at making a decision that benefits the district.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to compare us to other entities, but we're different. Each entity is a little bit different. So I think when we look at the data, if we decide to do something less than everybody around us is doing, then we fall from, you know, below center to closer to lower to center, or closer to lower to bottom.
Right.
And I don't think that is in line with the vision that the board has carried for the last 10 years. I think you've done a great job at keeping us competitive, even if we are closer to the center line.
Okay, so the question I have really quick, where do we need to be?
I think.
Where is it that we need to be? I'm seriously, let's get over this. Where do we need to be?
I think that taking this step today would put us right in the middle, with the exception of that.
Well, where do we need to be above the middle?
Well, I think that is something that,
That's a dollar
I mean,
amount
because
that we're gonna have to
be-
talk about.
that's not
Because
something
we
that we've
keep-
been shooting for.
Right.
We've been trying to, like Dallas said, we've been trying to be responsive, but not go too far. Because we don't want to put the board in a position even harder.
No, and I
than
understand
this.
we run an EDR plant, I understand we run a sewer plant and all that stuff, I get it. So where do we need to be so we're not always coming back and saying, well, we're behind, we're at the low end of the totem pole? Where do we need to go? And the thing that I get upset about is this COLA thing we've not ever done. I mean, it's all came up on us and you know, and I mean, I know we did it when I worked at Kennecott, we had COLA, but since I've been here, we've never done that.
And that's primarily because the market has been to where it's 1% to 2%, maybe 3% on a year. These are unusual circumstances. That's the problem.
It's pretty
And-
standard for
Go
a
ahead.
union to have right around 2.5%, because the inflation rate is usually between 1% and 3%. And so some years the union takes it 0.5%, and some years the company.
You know,
takes
I've had a few of the guys tell me, hey, we don't want to raise, we just don't want to lose our benefits. What we got is awesome. And they said, you know, I'm content with what I make. I don't want to lose my benefits. I don't want to see a cut in pay, but somewhere along the line, somewhere's got to give.
I would just respond, Mick, to your statement. I think this is primarily a cost of living adjustment, right? We are trying to provide a frame of reference that shows, hey, if we don't do something, where we're at now is gonna look worse.
Wait a minute. But we already put that in at the 2.5% or 2.7%.
That was for last year's
But
inflation.
that's an automatic this year, that will be 2.5, 2.7%.
No,
January 1st, yes,
no, 2.7 was,
every
done.
year.
No, it wasn't,
we
it
didn't-
wasn't.
we-
It was
that's not
just,
our
it was just
understanding,
the deal
Jeff.
that we did.
It was just maybe that's the confusion. That was just a one-time, like, this is just a one-time.
Because that's when we went to Leal and said, hey, what is it that we can
I see
give
where you're
for,
worried.
for a cost
I
of
see
living,
where
I
you're
right?
never, I never approved it for a one time. I figured that's what we needed to
Oh,
do.
no.
That's
No,
the
no,
minimum.
yeah, no, sorry. Guess
That
what?
was a
I
one-time,
went-
like, this is a one-time.
So
We're not-
that's when I went
We're not
to
tying
her-
the board into future.
No, I didn't, I know that, but I know that, like Andrew's talking about, you always have an increase you have to keep up for.
Right.
So I just assumed when we were approving it, it was gonna be an every year thing.
No.
for-
No,
That was
Well,
a-
I would approve that
I'm
because I
sorry.
think that information was important that we looked at.
That's a. failure
no,
on
that's
my
when we
part
went to
not-
Leal and said, okay, Leal, what is it that we can actually give?
That
Without
would require
going in-
a union negotiation
Right.
to be able to make it every year.
Right.
That's something, I see the confusion there, I apologize. That was a one-time adjustment that we thought we could fit within the existing budget
Okay.
to help offset the years before's inflation. If this doesn't go through, we would just be doing the 2.5% that is in the union contract.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is an unusual circumstance that we're saying, hey, similar to the 2.7, we would like to do 8.7, and then deal with these other issues during bargaining,
Okay.
to try to address some of these other issues.
Well, if you can remember when we had a budget increase and it had been 5 years since we had an increase, we were only asking for $4 a month.
You're right.
And those people came out with pitchforks, and I'm not shitting you.
They
This
did.
is nothing that you're gonna forget. I didn't forget it. They were wild, and it was
We
only
didn't forget it, they came
$4.
after us.
And it's only been, it was 5 years since we had an increase. They freaking went wild.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, we've got that balance, but let me say one thing. What you said a little bit ago about all the efforts of our team and how we've saved money, I think that ought to be really commended, and we need to highlight that to the people of of the community, because you're saving them a lot of money.
It's true.
And none of the other districts do that.
It's really unusual, especially right now, where people are struggling with the lower water use.
I
be
don't,
able to
I
do
mean,
that.
I don't want to celebrate that you guys are fantastic, but you're fantastic.
Well, I
That's the
appreciate-
bottom
thank you.
line. You've
And
got
that's
a
the
team
employees.
that
Let's
is
have a
working.
party.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, somehow it needs to be commended. People
Nope, I
need to
agree.
know that the team is working so well and saving money to keep the costs down. That's a big thing.
That is
And somehow we need to advertise that.
Does the guys know that?
We probably haven't done enough.
You know what you guys should do is do a luncheon.
Yeah.
Do reward them for what, good cost savings they've done. I have nothing in rewarding people for a good job. I don't,
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I think it's underplayed all the time, and to me, that is a real important thing.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, real
So what do
important.
we want to do on this?
I don't know. I still think 8.7's a little high to me. And I like what you asked Clint. Okay, what's the
wanna
bottom
reward
line
them,
here?
let's go
What do
with
we
it.
absolutely need?
And I don't know that we can
So,
tell you that.
so based off of a little bit of the data that I have, which isn't, I've been calling around and I haven't got a ton of feedback yet. I'm still waiting.
And you might not get any because they might think you're trying, you know what I mean? How they,
They've been, the ones I've been actually able to get a hold of have actually been really open and willing to help.
If we weren't gonna adjust any benefits and we stay here, we need to know. I don't like to compare myself to the neighbor. I don't like to compare my water bill with Dan Pace or my power bill with
Yeah.
Dan Pace. And I don't like to be compared to Kearns or anybody else.
I agree- I
You
can agree
guys
with
do what you do. We need you to tell us, where do we really need to be? If some of the people are happy with where they're at, I still think there needs to be an increase. I'm not denying that, but I don't like to use a number that comes from somewhere else.
Okay.
so what if we did this? So what if we put this on the back burner today? I mean, I'm just as a third of the board, and you come back to us and say, and if we have to, we could even have a special meeting between now and the end of the year to make this go through for the first of the year. I just don't want you guys to tell us this and then come back and it's really needs to be something else. I'd rather just make the adjustment if it's 9.5. I mean, I'd rather get it to where we need to be, where it needs to be, and then let's just do it and be done with it, than just say, okay, this is 8.7 next year. I mean, then it should have been this, it should have been that. My
Agree
recommendation.
with 9.5.
Well, no, I just threw that out there. I'll take it. But anyhow, I'm just saying, whatever, whatever it needs to be, let's look at it and let's get this thing done. But like I said, then every year we'll look at this COLA every year now and see where, what it is. But
To me, when you're talking a team and you guys are working good together, you don't go out and say, look at another district. You talk amongst your own district and say, okay, guys, we're not going to affect your benefits. What do we need to go
But
to?
that's my fault because I've asked them to go out and see
Well,
what
I
other,
know.
see what other districts where we're at. But I want to compare us with like someone equal, not like Jordan Valley Water or with them bigger ones. But I mean, I would just soon. I mean, I don't know what you guys want to do, but I would soon have him get back to us and say, unless you guys think this is where we need to be. I mean, is this where we need to be?
I feel like this is where we need to be today. I worry that.
But you're not going to
these-
come back in a week and
Well,
say,
no, what I would hope the board would understand is that other discussion that you're describing there is a bargaining.
Right,
discussion.
I understand
This is an inflation discussion.
Right.
We're trying to help provide some bargaining information to see where we're at, to help support this, but this is really an inflation.
well, our one lunch we had here, and I'm not going to say the individual come up to him and everybody thanked us for that 2.7, but then I had some of them say, I wish it would have been a 12%. I mean, really? Makes you not want to do nothing,
You always got somebody like that.
I think things are going to get a little tougher here around February, March. And so I'm hoping that this, I accept the fact that we do have to have an increase. There's no question. But I don't want to affect our water rates, and I think all the work that you guys have do, I want to keep that you're saving money, and I want that to keep the rates low.
So,
I agree.
So with the current suggestion from what we've researched out with this, it won't affect the rate schedule. We're still below the rate schedule. This works out to be, the wages is only a fifth of the budget, and this works out to be only like 1.4% of the overall budget.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think a lot of people hear 8.7% increase, and they think that automatically then translates to rates of 8.7.
Oh,
That's not the
no.
That is, Leal and Trevor and the master planning process has put us in this situation. Financially, we're able to make this decision without any rates.
Okay.
We're also able to make this decision because we have had operational efficiencies to allow more room.
Right.
We're in a fortunate position to be able to come to you and say, hey, we think this is the right thing to do. But that's because of sound planning and sound financial work that you guys have done. So I know, did you have something? You were talking to me.
I just had two more points to make, Mr. Chairman. After we've had our interviews and we've been being more intentional with some of the one-on-one association with our operators, an overwhelming majority of our operators are grateful for the support from the board and where we're at with our benefits package as a whole.
Absolutely.
And it's deflating to other operators when you've got one bad egg that makes a comment. And that's not representative of
No, I
of our
know.
operators as a whole. The other thing I wanted to point out that the raise we're recommending today gives us a buffer as we move into the negotiations. It also gives us a buffer as we bring on these potential two new operators.
Right.
We could have a set limit, but this gives us a little extra room if we want to have somebody with a little more experience. We've got the room to offer them a little bit more money before we make some changes to the bargaining agreement.
Okay, so legal counsel, stop me if I'm going in the wrong direction. I would like to honestly look at the 100% coverage for benefits. I just want to see that. Is that a selling point? that people are selling to get you to come to me? Or is that gonna be a permanent thing? I would like to find out what that cost is. I mean, I'm just,
Well, the only thing is, what I found with people I've been hiring, they're more interested, they don't give a crap about the benefits. They want the number on their paycheck. They don't understand
You're
they're
right.
paying, but they're paying
The younger
taxes on.
generation.
Younger generation, for the most part, does
They're
not.
paying taxes on that, on their paycheck. They don't understand if they don't have to pay for glasses or to kids to go and get shots and go to the dentist and all that stuff. They don't understand. And I guess you're right.
and
It's
that's
the
what
younger-
happened to me at Kennecott. The younger generation came in, they didn't want it on, they wanted the cash, they didn't want to put it on their benefits, you know, so that's why retirement is what it is.
Make to your question, there's no legal reason why we
Okay.
couldn't look into that. but-
Okay,
Probably a bargaining.
Yeah.
well, it would be, but I'm just saying that's something that we can let's check into that and see where we're at, because
But if we all agree,
I
if
think they're
we all,
satisfied with their benefits at where they're at personally.
well, I'm saying if everybody here agrees as a team that we're in that area, that 8.7, and we're not gonna have this 8.7 next year, that way it's a one-time thing, then,
you can't
then
never
I
say
think-
never.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I meant a one-time thing. But what I'm saying is, we're doing it for what the
Right,
situation
right.
we have right now, then that's not too bad.
Okay.
No,
That's not too
just
bad.
go to the grocery store, you know, like you do.
Yeah, that's,
I-
the
You
real.
do
I
every
think
day.
everybody relates to that. You just, your money doesn't go as far.
Shake and bake used to be $2, I think it's $5.
Okay, so let's motion on this.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
Jeffrey.
Mister, don't call me Jeffrey, I'm Jeff.
All right, Jeff.
Mr.
Let's get
Chairman.
rolling here.
Let him make that motion.
Huh?
Let him make that motion.
No, go ahead, I'm not a real good speaker. We've had a good day so
We're
far.
amongst friends. What are you talking about? You don't make mistakes, just do it.
But, no.
He's not gonna do it?
No, he's not. We're waiting.
God,
No, Jeff's doing it.
he's had to do it the first time. I
I made that error,
scared
Jeffrey,
the
but
shit out
Jeff,
of him.
come on, Jeff, let's go.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve the employee wage and benefit comparable agencies possible motion to 8.7 COLA increase for all employees effective January 1st.
Second that.
In motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I really think that's a big win for the employees, and we appreciate the board's support.
I still would like to see your plan to help these guys starting out, because
I answered.
to me, if a guy is coming up through the ranks and he's getting close to where the foreman is, you know what, he's earned it. I'm sorry, he's earned it. But
Yeah.
a foreman gets worried about it, but he needs to get over it, because you know what? The foreman's not gonna stay there forever. We're gonna have a turnover of people, and we've got to bring people in to do that.
I agree, and thank you. I feel like I wanna compliment the board. You guys make us, be thorough. And that, is a testament to how much you care about the citizens.
No, we do. We, you know, and like I said again, we work
You ask a lot
for
of
the
hard
taxpayers
questions,
is who
and
we
that's
work
what you're
for.
supposed to be doing.
We just gotta
We
be,
appreciate that.
but then again, we've gotta be very, careful about, God, I couldn't believe how wild everybody went over a $4.
I know.
$4 increase, $4.
That took away my shake and bake.
5 years.
No kidding.
Okay, let's move on to the jackets.
That's Andrew.
So I received some requests to look into what it would cost to get everybody a jacket. I got a couple of comparative bids that are here, one from Evergreen Solutions. So there would be 25 Carhartts for the operation staff, and Clint, Dallas, Raymond, myself, and Trevor. 5 Eddie Bauer jackets for the office staff and Leisle and Mandy, and then 3 board member jackets as well. It would have the Magna Water logo embroidered on it, and you can see Evergreen Solutions quote came in at $5,596, and Creative Signs and Graphics came in at $4,851.96.
So I have one question on this. I think this is a great deal. I don't know if I talked to you about it, or if it was you. I'd like to kind of do some of this kind of stuff for like safety rewards.
Okay.
I think that's an incentive.
value in that.
I see a value in that. Are we just giving these jackets just to be given out? I mean, and the question is, you know, when we go, and we need to talk about our safety program a little bit more, but, you know, my old program where I worked at is if one of us got hurt, we weren't eligible for anything. And something like this, you had to go a whole year without an incident, and then you got a jacket or, you know, or whatever. I'm just saying, you know, and I'm just voicing for me as the third of the board. I mean, you know, I'm okay with this, but a question I have too, how many people, well, I guess if they wear them, they wear them. If they don't, they don't. But then at the expense, it comes with a pretty hit, you know, it comes with a good cost.
I had a little input.
Okay.
I think the jackets are too heavy.
Okay.
Like the jacket that I have, I can wear it almost 8
Year
months
round?
out of the year. Well, actually year round, but even I went down to Vegas and it was 55 degrees and I was still wearing my jacket. I think these are a little too heavy, but the other thing I was thinking about, today you guys just give out some gift cards. I think a jacket with something on it, these are people that are contributing to the district. I
I
think,
like that.
I really
we get some
think-
benefit of that as well, because they're wearing the jacket. If you give that as a reward and an acknowledgement.
look what was that, look like what we were like in kindergarten or something. We got a little thing because we did something special.
Right.
Well, you
like-
feel like you want to wear it.
And
You
the thing
wanna.
is when I get that gift card, go buy that coat pack, I don't think nothing of Magna Water.
True. I think that's a good comment in general. How can we provide something
Hey,
that
man.
also provides us some benefit
buy a turkey.
beyond that? Yeah, that's a good idea.
I just want to stir up the incentive because you guys are on a track here. You're doing a great job. And I think to commend these people, I'm giving something that they can wear and say, hey, I'm special. You know, I'm a contributor. I'm not sure what the logo would be, but something like, I'm a special contributor to the district or something
So
like that.
I agree with you 100%. I think we really need to look at that kind of stuff. But you know what? It's on the agenda for today.
Table.
We could
I-
approve it, but only use it for that purpose, and we get them as needed.
So let me ask you a question really quick. What does our managers all think of that program? I mean, use it towards a safety incentive deal, you know? It's just like I said, it's like each department, like the office has their own safety thing. So if they don't get hurt, you know, and then if you have your construction crew that's separate, you have your collections, you have your sewer that's separate. That's how we did it. We had operations where I worked. And so the operation might go and never get hurt. And we get them. And guess what? On the railroad side, they got hurt and they didn't get nothing.
Yeah.
You know what it looks like if a jacket says that, you know, I've worked successfully for 5 years, never had an accident or something like that. I mean, anything that highlights that person, he's going to feel like wearing that jacket and it's going to say Magna Water and I contributed, you know, or I did something or I saved us from a major shutdown. I don't
think
know.
there's definite value in using it as a safety reward.
Mr. Chairman, I think Leo had something.
Yes, I was going to.
I met with our workers' compensation writer yesterday on our premium, and we had a year drop to calculate our experience mod.
Mm-hmm.
We had a year that had just a little bit of a loss dropped off, and he did show us that through 1/1/20 to 12/20, so 2020 and 21, our injuries and claims were 0. So our experience mod, not last year, but the year before, was over 1, but now it's under 1. And I just wanted to let you guys know that for the past 2 years, our claims have been 0.
So
Yeah,
we
but-
could possibly
employees have
put
been-
something on there besides the Magna Water District, say, just the symbol, just saying 2 years accident free.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great idea. I'm going to be honest, a third of a board. I don't have a problem approving this today, but I would like you guys to take it into consideration. Like Jeff said, they're probably too heavy. I mean, and that's something that you might want to look at, or if you might want to just
I spoke to several operators, and this was the jacket they could agree on. The office staff.
We could give two options.
Agreed on that one, and then for the board member, I just want, it's a 3-in-1, so you could wear the shell and the insert together, or just the fleece.
We did
But-
that year.
But we could definitely come up with another option as well, and maybe let them select. And then come back.
Well, it's
with
up to what you guys want to do. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking, you know, it's on, I mean, if we want to just wait and do this for safety stuff, I'm okay with that. Where, like you said, we've been safety free, but I just think a lot of this stuff like this, we should really combine it into like,
Intentional.
yeah, and come up with a really good safety program, you know?
Or an incentive. Because I'm not against having a special thing sewn up for a person that does, you know, like the team that just got us out of a hell of a mess on that pump. That could have been a major thing. And I think that's a commendable thing, really. A 50 gift card, they give it to their wife or whatever, and it's gone. It's like light it on fire. But if you get a jacket or something like that,
Dollar
something,
store.
And we get value. I like the combined value. We get some value out of it.
Mr. Chairman, I like the idea you had where, you know, we maybe do what we did in the beginning. We have them in here at the beginning of the board meeting, we award them with this jacket based on an accomplishment. I do think there is some cost savings when we order in bulk, or maybe we do this, maybe we do X amount of employees per quarter. That way there's still some cost savings there. So that is just some input about the cost.
well, we can hire somebody to sew a patch on or whatever, so, if we want to, so.
Put a patch on.
So, you know what do you guys, what do you want to do? Do you want to
You know
go?
what, maybe what we ought to do is, we'll make up some patches that we can add,
Yeah, let's,
and then that way, I
I'm talking
mean,
about the patches that we get.
just
to
like
fix
the
a
Boy
flat
Scouts
tire?
get, when they
Oh,
get
okay.
Iron on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but you know what, I really, if somebody gets a special achievement, they're gonna feel like wearing that jacket, and that's good
I
for the
think
district.
if I'm hearing the board correctly, one maybe way we could do this is, this could be the budget for jackets this year. If we have circumstances that we would want to recommend somebody get one, we would then move forward. But we would, what I'm hearing is we don't wanna just go across the board and give everybody a jacket. So I think we need to come up with something that, addresses those.
Incentivize.
Well, you know what, and like, Dallas had a good point, you know, if you buy this a little bit, then, you know, you don't get that good of a deal. I understand that part. But we need to do something. I mean, maybe we need to make it a deal. If someone gets hurt, nobody gets nothing. You know what I mean? I mean,
I do think we've had that in our safety policy, like back when we would do the boot drying every quarter.
yeah,
There
but
was an accident.
but I'm not, I don't think the boot drawing was a great deal, the way it was set, the way it's set up.
We
I
had some
mean,
problems with the boot drawing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so like I said, whatever, if we want to go ahead and
I'm
do that
for
this
it,
year.
And if they
Okay,
wanna
let's
order them
go
that
ahead and
way.
approve it right now then.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion, where's it at?
Here, these.
Make a motion to purchase the jackets and district's logo for the employees and trustees in the amount of $4,851.96.
I'll second that.
Been motion, second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, let's go to the renewal of a liability policy and vehicle insurance with Olympic Insurance.
Like to welcome Brian Child from Olympus Insurance. Brian has been an excellent, goes above and beyond to meet our service needs, both him and Daryl. We are extremely happy with their services and think that they provide a real value to the district, and would like to ask him to give some high-level updates to the board so they understand what's going on with our insurance.
You need to, you need the exercise.
I hate to bring tradition to be the first one to stand up here. But unfortunately, my brain almost doesn't work. So, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning. As mentioned, with in conjunction with the district's budget process, the policy year for our liability and property insurance program renews with the calendar and our fiscal year. As I can also tell you parenthetically, hearing what we discussed at the board and the level of proactivity that we see here is really, it's refreshing. As you recognize these employees, as you talked about recognizing proactive things employees are doing. You think about monitoring leaks and alerting employees to those. That same mindset goes a long way as far as risk awareness. So really, I think, the board and the staff should be commended for being in the right direction, because it's refreshing to me. A lot of times I do go to public meetings and kind of think, this is of public concern, but certainly this was terrific. As part of the renewal process, we qualify underwriters. This is all we do is public agencies, so there are only a certain number of underwriters that can provide the scope of insurance that we need. We do have a rather unique set of things that we need in our program with water and sewer, two treatment plants. And so you'll see there in the letter, near the beginning, there are some marketing results. We had 7 responsive proposals, and those are all underwriters that can provide the full scope of coverage. All, well established. They all do extensive work around the state of Utah and really the Mountain West region. Argonaut's our current provider. They continue to provide the best terms. They're very, very particular. The only other large water agency in the valley that can clear the hurdle with Argonaut is Jordan Valley. There's not to disparage anyone else there. They're all very good with other.
Yeah.
We have a number with all these providers, but Argonaut has certain things they want to see, and we're doing those things. They also have one element that's rather crucial to us, in that they offer no fault water and sewer damage. I know we've had prior discussions on it. It's a key component. And,
Right.
Big benefit to the public as well.
Don't say that, because we haven't had that for a long time.
Yeah. It's like our food storage. If we have it, we need it. But
Right.
So from a marketing standpoint, that's kind of the groundwork there. The program, we haven't made any significant changes this last year. Last year we did add the active shooter coverage, which I think was a very good addition. It's something that's easy to overlook, but unfortunately in the world we live in now, it's becoming more of an issue.
Well, it is.
We only need that coverage during a budget increase.
Yeah, and it doesn't have any kind of prohibition for budget here in taxation. But, so going through the letter, we talked about financial security. That's obviously another huge point we have to vet out to make sure underwriters are qualified and will be around to pay the big claim if that arises down the road. Looking through the terms a little bit, and really the tab that might be most helpful is back on tab section 6.
They don't have the sections, Brian.
Okay, so it's near the end. It's called premium and rate review. It's I think it's online.
Yeah.
So that outlines year over year our exposures, our rates, and then the premium charges that are made to those. And it gives us a really good macro view of the program. In harmony with our discussion on inflation, property values, replacement cost values, specifically how all of our assets are insured, have really increased. That's the single largest area from a premium increase is attributable to all of the assets we insure are now more valuable. Some of the other areas where there is rather significant turmoil in the market, which is probably no surprise to a lot of us. Excess liability, we're seeing larger verdicts, even against public agencies and water and utilities, and then cyber liability as well. It seemed like during COVID, we heard that on the news every day. I can tell you, it really hasn't slowed down. I think we all just got tired of having that be the lead story of someone getting ransomware, but unfortunately it's still out there, so it is a rather key component, but we look at, I think when we first added it to the program, it's certainly the case anymore. So that's really the structure there. We certainly do have a extensive service offering many of the staff and happy to help on many of the things you've talked about today, from safety incentive programs.
Right.
Some of the analytics to help you correlate the benefit, savings derived from safety to the potential benefits.
And I like what you said today about, you see us making all these changes into go in the right direction. And like I do want to say from the boards, like I said, if it wasn't, this is our biggest asset is what we have. If we didn't have them, we couldn't operate and do what we do. So,
So I had a question. So I noticed on our proposal, there's some pretty good increases on some of these categories like property, mechanical, general liability. Have we had claims on any of these categories?
We have had, really, if you go back one page before the full overview, we can see our losses. And if you look at those, especially the trend line there, the red is kind of a zigzagging line. We really improved over the years. We have, unfortunately, there are some claims that are somewhat unavoidable. We can have water hazards, someone may open a fire hydrant and that can cause a line break downstream for us. On these no-fault issues, that could be not necessarily to do with anything regarding our operation or negligence in managing the system, but someone else introduces something into our line. So,
right.
so we do get very small claims, but if we look at the last year, $22,000 relative to the average, over the past 7 years, we're doing very, very well.
So you have an increase of about $4,000 on automobile liability. Is there something we're doing there that is, how are we getting in more accidents or something? What is making such a big jump on that?
So a big component of that is the number of units we have and the value of those.
Okay.
Units. Something like a Vector truck. When I started, they were like $150,000.
Good luck.
Extreme deal. And now they're approaching a fire apparatus.
Yeah.
costs.
Yeah.
So a lot of that goes to the actual physical damage.
Okay. What about on excessive excessive liability 2? There's quite a $3,000 jump. Have we changed that coverage?
No, unfortunately, that's another area where
Inflation.
the higher your excess liability limit used to go, the lower that cost can come because the likelihood of claims was so low. Now that we've seen claims start to, go into those layers, underwriters are increasing their rates.
But we haven't.
We have not.
We've not had
We're
claims
mainly
from-
just experiencing, unfortunately,
Okay.
the trend in the market going that direction.
And just so I
What do you
understand
think?
that, to Jeff's point, we would have to have a huge claim to make an impact on that rate. We would have to get into that excess liability, right?
Correct, yeah, we're not being.
This is the number it should be.
Based on our losses.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Based on our exposures and based on the market in general. If you look, our
It's not that.
internal metrics, we had one claim over 10 million in the 90s.
That's what we're approving.
2020, we had 4.
Okay.
Since 2010, we have like 13.
And that's the market
That's the number I'm reading
in
here.
Utah.
Utah, Colorado.
I'm just looking at these increases.
So that handful of claims amongst this region is really what's driving, because those are such substantial payouts. That risk, since that trend is upwards in bigger payouts, they're adjusting those numbers upwards to be able to cover a continued trend.
Correct, yeah, and continue to, it's all based on actuarial science, continue to provide terms. And, that's public agencies we work with, but if you look nationally, it's the same trend, unfortunately, where, the term that's used is social inflation. It's maybe probably heard a lot at attorney conferences. But as far as the upward pressure on everyone expects, the verdicts and governments to have.
Well, and there's also, what I'm seeing is, as other people start to have less money, if there's some sort of problem, it's usually the public entity that has the deepest pockets. And so plaintiffs'
Right.
attorneys are going to do whatever they can, even
tie it to
to find some way to make it your problem. And a lot of what I'm seeing, getting back to the biggest verdict issue, is what's called kind of a reptile argument, is where there may not be a causation between what the district did or the government entity did, but they try to play on the sympathies of the jury to say, look, you know, yeah, maybe it didn't cause the problem, but this district's such a mess. They're not doing things properly. They're not following the rules. And if they had done the things that they were supposed to, maybe this wouldn't have happened. And so that argument has been proving somewhat effective in jacking up awards. Or what's more frequent is not jacking up the jury awards, but just requiring settlements.
Yeah, bigger settlements.
Yeah, fear to go to juries requiring, and the level to which the other side will settle.
Yeah, and I've had these discussions where it's like, well, it's not your fault, but, you know, maybe we didn't have all of our ducks in a row. And, you know, or do we really want all of our dirty laundry aired and all the things we haven't done correctly? So, yeah, there's upward pressure everywhere.
Okay,
Okay, we're good.
Any other questions?
nope, I'm fine, I appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate
Yep,
what you do with the district as a whole.
thanks, Brian.
That's,
So we don't have to motion nothing on this, correct? I mean,
I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
we'd
do.
like
oh, do we? Okay, yeah, we do, I'm
just to
sorry.
renew it.
that's the lower.
Okay,
Yeah, and my apologies, the amount on the.
right here is right at the bottom, premiums right at the,
Yeah,
okay, 170, 945.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to renew the liability property vehicle insurance with Olympus in the amount of $170,945.
I'll second that.
Been motion second, all in favor?
So one thing that you guys were talking a little while ago about the lead and there's money available. I think, I remember that girl coming and visit here, and I really think there's certain things you have to meet in order to qualify for that money. I think that is as important to explain those qualifications. But the other thing we need to do, I think, to send a letter out quarterly to tell people that they need to get flood insurance and different things like that to cover their house. You know, things that we don't do. That kind of reminded me, because I've got some people that are buying warranties, and then all of a sudden they have a situation the warranty doesn't cover. Yeah, then they're looking for somewhere else to get the money, just like what Nathan was saying. So I think quarterly, we need to send a thing out, not necessarily, I hate that home serve.
Yeah, right.
They called my mother's house and wanted her to warranty the gas line, the metal pipe that goes through the house. And I said, it's gonna last for a lifetime. Well, you never can tell, the girl on the phone, and I'm just going, you're just trying to scam. They call and they have all good intentions, but they don't understand what the heck they're talking about.
Yeah, what I like about that is we're saying, hey, just so you know, if this specific event happened, we would only be able to cover this or not, and you would be responsible. So we recommend you look into
Well, and I like that
other
because,
options.
It isn't that expensive. When I looked into the insurance, it was not, it was like, I think it was like $2 or $3 on a monthly cost, or so much on a yearly. It was-
But don't say go get home service.
right,
Just say,
no,
right.
no.
But no, what I like about it is at least you're educating them, so if it does happen, it's like, we told you. We told you so.
But I'm saying a quarterly letter to our homeowners saying that you need to look into your insurance, not getting a home serve warranty thing. But I think look at your homeowner's insurance, because some people don't even look at it, and they look at the fine print and go, oh crap, I'm not covered for that. Like if a water heater breaks and it floods the house or whatever. So,
Okay,
what's our next one?
let's move on to our regular board meeting schedule.
Oh, yeah.
okay, so normally, in the past, we've done the second Thursday at 10 a.m. In looking at the conferences and other things, the noted changes from the second Thursday would be those indicated. This is all up for discussion. It could be changed to 6 p.m. It could be,
I thought we went to 7 o'clock.
that's, if we did, that's fine. We just need to know.
5 o'clock.
We presented a schedule that we think is best, but this is the board's schedule, so any changes you want to make, let us know.
In January, this is kind of a me thing, but I've been trying to get the gap update for 2022 now for a month and a half. And every time it's scheduled, we have a board meeting scheduled, so I don't wanna miss either one of them. That's why I would like to change the January one, but we can talk about that. And then March, this we're considering changing because of the rural water conference is the week before, and that's when we do the packet.
So would move the one in March to the 16th and the one in January to the 19th?
I've actually moved Marches to a different week. I think it's the first week, sorry.
Oh, the second?
Let's look, there's a calendar behind that schedule.
Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar. It's on the 9th, and you want to change it to the week before? The
The
second?
week before would not be, hang on, let me look at the conference.
Yeah, I only got one.
Have you already, I guess the question is, have you already made the changes to the dates or not yet?
Some I have.
Oh,
The ones that I say consider changing have not.
Oh,
So like April's would be already changed. April 6th is the first.
And June's already
Week.
changed.
June's already changed, and
And November's
November
changed.
16th is already changed from the 2nd.
Are you sure you can make the first Thursday? You always said that's
In
too tight.
November.
it is tough for us to make that.
Oh, for January?
No,
from April.
March or April.
April?
I'm just kidding you.
No, that's a good thought, April 6th. So we would have to do packets the last week of March.
It is tough for us.
That's what she said.
We
Well, I
could-
just don't want to keep getting an update version like this today. I want it, when I get my packet, I want it to be is what it is, because got this and then I screwed up today because I'm,
Looking at the wrong one.
We could push it back to.
So
the
do you want to
13th.
take those first ones and move them to the third one?
If that's okay with the board.
So you move April 6th to the April 20th?
or 13th.
Or, no, there's a reason it's not on the
Yeah,
13th.
UGFOA is April 12th.
Oh,
through
okay.
14th,
So you move it to the 20th.
So we could move it to the 20th.
So do you want to do that, Leah?
Yeah, so.
Is that what you're recommending?
Well, their recommendation is if we did it, they'd recommend to do it to the third Thursday of every month, but
Yeah, we could do that.
I'm not, I want to keep, well, I've got Jordan Valley Water Board, and so juggle it, or have it all in one week.
If we don't move January's, I'll figure something else out. So do you want to keep January as the 12th or move it to the 19th? We'll just.
Well, let's move it to the 19th, because there's something going on January the 12th.
Okay.
Okay. Then March.
March
if
is,
you have management going to rural water, it'd be hard to get the information from them to have it on the second Tuesday.
so let's have it on the
So
16th.
the 16th, okay.
Okay.
Leah, how come June was clear on the 4th Thursday? That's kind of odd.
So, sorry, Jeff, do you
And I'm
wanna,
looking at
what do
the
you wanna
sch-
do with April?
Move it to the 20th.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
and then June, let's see,
First day of the month is Thursday.
yeah, June 8th was not doable because the Salt Lake County normally doesn't have the certified tax rate out by then.
Oh,
The
so that's,
third
that's
Thursday
right. We gotta
is
wait until we get their stuff.
National AWWA,
So we're gonna be the 22nd on June?
if that is okay with the board.
Yep.
Are you all right then?
Now, if by chance, I'm not saying we are, we aren't, if there's
Veterans
a
Day, we'll
tax
just do away
rate
with that holiday.
increase
Do
or
what?
change
Do
from the
away with holiday,
certified,
Veterans
it would
Day.
have to be at night. we could wait until that time to see if there is or isn't, or,
What's your feeling on where are we gonna, based on the data you've submitted, there's some potential need to adjust tax rate.
Why don't we just send a letter to Solid County and say, look, we'll give you until the 8th of June, and if you don't get it, then tough. We ought to.
their deadline is the 8th, but most of the time they get it out.
What, does it get lost in the mail? We don't get it?
No, they actually email it now, so
Oh, do
it's all electronic. But they normally give us till June 24th to get it back to them.
Oh. Okay, so we're gonna have it the 22nd.
And would you like to keep it at 10?
So Clint, will you give me a printout of all the vacation, I mean, not vacation, all the holidays
Yes.
that we have?
And then the only other one in question,
November,
I proposed it for the 16th.
right.
Okay.
And if the budget has a rate, which we don't anticipate.
So
if it
that'll
has
probably
a
be
tax increase, do you wanna
that'll probably
change
be
it
an
to a different
afternoon.
time?
So that'll be an afternoon meeting on November?
It's entirely up to you.
Well, I mean, it's a budget hearing, so that might be.
But if we're not
5 o'clock.
increasing, then we don't,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
we don't have
Do
to,
we?
no.
Yeah, so the budget hearing doesn't have to be after 6 unless you're increasing fees.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's weird that a fee schedule, if you're establishing a new fee or you're increasing a fee, you have to have a public hearing and hold that after 6.
Okay,
But the budget can be during your normal meeting.
we'll do it at 10 o'clock then.
That said, as we discussed this year, it didn't work out that way, but sometimes boards like to hold the budget hearing after 6 because more people can attend and they feel it makes sense for transparency purposes. But legally, you can hold it during your day as long as we're not doing a fee increase.
Okay.
Or taxes.
Yeah, taxes is a truth and taxation process, that's a separate thing as well.
Okay,
So leave it at 10
Yep.
for now?
yep.
Okay. I can issue a new schedule for everyone, so we're all on the same page.
That would be great.
Yeah. So we don't need to make a motion on
Well,
the schedule?
actually, I think, because we have to post this, once we have the revised schedule, I don't know if we necessarily need to have a vote on it, but I don't think it hurts. That way, when Leisle posts it, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's what we agreed to.
We could
That's a
put-
that's a good idea.
We could put it as an open agenda item for the next week's meeting for the closed bargaining.
That's true, yeah. And I mean, we could do it in January too. It just has to be done once a year, but it's however you want it. But my understanding is that you had already made the edits. So you've already agreed to the dates, and so you could just move to approve it subject to the revisions.
Okay, we can do that.
And then that way, Leisle, we don't need to come back and she can just post it as revised.
So you want to do it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the motion, Jeff, would be, I move to approve the schedule as revised.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the schedule as revised for the 2023 regular board meeting.
My second.
Been motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep, no problem. Okay, fraud risk assessment, who's,
Mine again.
okay,
So this is an annual fraud risk assessment that we perform ourselves as a district. And this is, I think, the third year that the auditors have brought it, since they brought it as a requirement. And as you see, it's already filled out. We have gotten to a 325 level, which is the low risk. We started at, I believe, the high end of moderate. Now we're in the
Lowe's,
low section. And this has to be submitted to state auditor's office every year,
Oh, 325.
unless you have any,
I was just looking where it totaled on the.
Nope.
column.
sorry, yeah, it's at the top. And Clint and I both sign it before it's submitted, once it's approved.
that's pretty good, 325.
It's really good.
Yeah, there's a couple items on here that we can still continue to work towards.
Well, I think we are as part of the AR&R updates. A lot of these things are things that are in the works.
Yep. Some of them are a bit more challenging because they take more participation
Yes.
from board members, and then some of them take some additional effort outside with some additional schooling. So, those are things that are a bit more challenging. We've done all of the ones that we think, we can deal with, at this point in time, but certainly if the board gives us direction that we want to, move even higher, we would have to have some more extensive, discussion and investment.
And just part of the issue here is if you look at it, personally, I have some issue with how they've weighted these points. As you see all these policies, which in my opinion are the most critical, are rated the lowest at 5. And things that I find that provide virtually no value are rated at 20. Like having an audit committee, what's the point of having an audit committee if you've got an external auditor doing the audit? And then the formal audit function, again, that's kind of duplicative. Those are rated at a collective of 40 points. Having a member of your management team who has a bachelor's in accounting is kind of another challenge that not every district can comply with, because you have other skill sets that you need. I mean, you need an engineer, water operator, more than you need an accountant, especially if you have an external one.
Right,
So
and we do have someone that has an associate's who's working towards that, but it might be, a while till we
Yeah.
get there.
And so the remaining fruit here is not low-hanging fruit. It's expensive, be very difficult, be very burdensome fruit to get, but that's just how it's weighted. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next one for our training.
Sorry, can I get you to approve that risk assessment?
Okay,
as Presented.
as presented, the risk, yeah, this one right here, as approved.
Oh, we have to approve it?
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve our 2022 fraud risk assessment numbers at 325.
Second time.
Been motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. For training,
Andrew was gonna take that one.
okay,
So, you can see there, we've got a bid for, me being trained as a certified trainer to train everybody with the Arbinger Institute developing and implementing an outward mindset. So what this is it's gonna be kind of a lifelong investment for us as we move forward as a district to develop all of our employees with a culture of having this outward mindset. This has been used by a lot of organizations to take the next step. It increases productivity, it increases teamwork, it increases communication. It increases their desire to be trained, their desire to help train. So what it basically does is this model suggests that there's two different mindsets. There's an inward mindset and an outward mindset. And your mindset directly influences your results. And as we can get everybody to commit to that outward mindset, they start to take more accountability. They start to directly see how their actions affect others, and they have more buy-in for the team goals.
Reduces conflict.
Reduces conflicts, helps with conflict negotiation and conflict management. There's endless reasons why this benefits the district. Any questions on that?
I just think it's great that we're going in a good way.
This is a tool that we can implement that has a guide, so we're not going in the dark.
And it will also, once we train everybody within the organization, this will just be part of our onboarding process. As people come on, we'll onboard them with it, and we'll also schedule annual refreshers for each employee to maintain our desired focus on this goal.
one local organization that has implemented this with remarkable results is the West Jordan Police Department. If you get a chance, that's that. I went to a presentation by the police chief at the RISC conference, and the level of reduction in incidents and the accountability amongst the police officers, it's just been dramatic. And they are being looked at, he trains people all over the country now because they've had such good success with this model. So that's a local organization that's had actual boots on the ground experience with it.
Now, did I understand correctly, Andrew? You'll get this what do I call it?
Certification.
Instructor training, and then you will conduct that training here?
Yes.
At one of the facilities?
Yeah, I'll just be here in-house. I'll train everybody on it. We'd invite the board to even participate in this. And then as we onboard people, I'll train them in that as well. And then we'll do probably an annual refresher on the goals and ideals of this.
And this is a program you've been through and have
Yes.
direct experience with at your old employer.
Yeah, so we, my previous employer, they did a in-house survey and found that the culture was lacking. They brought in a company, and then the survey was shocking. It came back that they didn't trust management, that they didn't enjoy coming to work. And so part of trying to transition, they brought in Arbiter, and they trained everybody in it out there, 400 people. And over time with this and some of the other initiatives, the culture changed drastically. It went from 10 years ago, where there was quite a adversarial relationship between management and union, to being a working relationship.
Good.
I mentioned too that Central Valley's been doing this for several years.
Oh, good.
If you wanted to check.
That's great to know. We'll follow up.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
That's good. So we have to prove this.
And they're also a local company, so a lot of people that get certified have to do it online, but they're local, so I could even just run up to Farmington and do it
That's
in
cool,
person,
that's
which
great.
would be kinda nice.
So are we gonna approve these amounts?
Do we have to approve these amounts? The total of 14,200, we do, right, right?
Yeah, this is an expense, it's
Okay.
an appropriation you need to approve, so.
Okay.
motion would be in order.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the outward mindset training for the amount of $14,200.
A second, Tim.
In motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go. Are you gonna give us an update, Nathan, or we?
I'm gonna give you just a brief
Yeah.
update. So, as you know, we're also the district's lobbyists. We're getting close to the legislative session. This will be our last meeting before the session starts. So, each year, we're pretty involved representing you in a number of clients. We usually split the costs as many ways as we can. Just to recap of some of the things we worked on last year, there was a bill that was going to unilaterally allow for the relocation of water infrastructure and sewer infrastructure. But working with the UASD and Rural Water, they had asked me to work with the bill sponsor. We were able to get an exemption from that. There was also some legislation that would have drastically required these very expensive capital improvement plans, which we were also able to modify so that you didn't incur that cost. And a lot of this, I don't want to say it's just me, but necessarily I'm on the board of the UASD. The UASD is very effective, but sometimes the UASD will ask me to do things and they'll say, Nathan, we need to know where your clients are on this. And so I need to give Mick a call or Clint a call and say, okay, I need to, let somebody know about where we are on this. So it can be pretty fast moving. So what I like to do is just kind of present on where I see some key bills being this session. There are obviously going to be more that will pop up. Understand what the board's priorities are, what the staff's priorities are, so I know going into this session how best to represent you.
Yeah.
So the good news is I'm not aware of a ton of things that are bad right now. There may be some things that pop up. I know there's gonna be a lot on the land use side that may have some corollary impacts to you. But as far as districts go, the big bill that everyone was concerned about was a bill that would have prohibited districts from using, well, it wasn't quite structured. It would have prevented some water suppliers, all municipalities in certain districts, from using property tax to fund any water infrastructure, period. And it would have applied retroactively.
Wow.
We were able to work with the bill sponsor through the UASD to convert that to a study. This is an issue that's popping up. The argument is that property taxes are subsidizing wasteful water use. There may be some truth to the fact that there are some entities that are exempt from property tax that do use a lot of water, like schools and things. But there are a whole lot of unintended consequences. So hopefully this study, which the UASD will be working with, will be a more accurate way to address maybe some of the deficiencies in this system, but not throw everything out with the kitchen sink. Because I know we use property taxes marginally. It's not.
It's about a quarter.
Yeah.
It's about a quarter of our revenues.
My personal concern with the idea is if it's all fee-based, that people will be more incentivized to conserve. My concern with that is it's going to be harder to bond for some districts. There are plenty of water suppliers that are perfectly fee-based, but that usually works when you're an established place and you can show the lenders, here's how much money we typically collect as collateral. When you're a growing district like you, and you're gonna have things like Little Gateway, it's gonna be much, much, much harder. The other concern that I have, particularly in places that aren't rich, is if you have a lot of renters or people in apartments without a lot of yard, and it's all fee-based, they don't really have a way to cut back on their fee. There's no yard to rip out, there's no landscaping to cut back on. At that point, it's literally, well, maybe I take a fewer baths or wash the dishes less. And that sort of savings isn't really gonna impact what we're talking about. So the good news is that's been converted to a study. The other bill, the UASD is working on some legislation to hopefully improve the public notice process. I have a summary that I'll send Lee Isle and Clint. The UASD has asked me to help them with that. Essentially what it would do is it would have different classes of notices. I don't think it would change too much about what we would do. We're already doing most of this, but basically we'd have to do the same notice we're doing now, plus some additional notice. So this isn't necessarily the UASD proposing this is the UASD trying to make sure that it works. I would like to get rid of all of the physical posting notice requirements. I don't think they provide any value. They require the most amount of time. People just aren't gonna know about a meeting because they happen to see a notice posted on your window. They're gonna go to your website, they're gonna look on the public notice webpage. So that's gonna be a work in progress. I'll be keeping you up to date. I would appreciate Lee Isle's perspective on this so we can make sure that the ultimate bill works for you guys. The other bill that I wanna mention, and I think this is a good one, is over the last couple of years, David and now me and Peter Gessel, he's another one of our water attorneys and lobbyists. He'll be covering a lot of this stuff with me. We've been working on, there have been some issues with water suppliers where people have just illegally tapped into the water supply, potentially threatening public safety and introducing contamination. There's been kind of an ongoing discussion with the development community who are concerned. They weren't the ones doing this, but they're concerned that if they're doing construction and they nick a line, that they're gonna have a bunch of liability. We've had some bills that have come through, they're compromised. There's a good bill that's working its way through that would give us additional protection for that, but also for trails and things that are placed along pipelines or ditches. I don't think you have ditches, but you do have pipelines. You may have some storage facilities that if they're recreation facilities, it gives added protection to you. So I just got the latest version of that yesterday. I'll send that along to you. Those are the big bills that are out there now. But we have been very effective, I think.
Yeah.
Not
the
just
the
the
reuse.
UASD.
Maybe you could comment on how involved with reuse you've been.
So reuse, I think you guys are going to be in good shape for reuse. But as you know, I do a lot of work on the Great Salt Lake. There is an increasing amount of concern, I would say, both from the state regulator level and the legislative level, that reuse will impact the lake. But my biggest concern was that there was going to be blanket legislation that would just prohibit all reuse, because while I do absolutely agree that some reuse projects will be bad for the lake, your project won't. Right. And your project, I think, will actually benefit the lake, because we're not going to be reusing water from the Jordan River. We're going to be reusing groundwater. Right. And thereby free up shares that you could potentially lease.
Yeah,
for use.
and where's that water going? It's just going back into the ground.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
and then it will replenish. So
And-
ours is that cycle
Right.
and not diverting.
But they would try to get it if they could.
They would, so.
They were trying, if they knew you were gonna not put 4 million gallons a day in the Great Salt Lake. But
Well-
tell them, it's actually gonna be cleaner because it's not gonna be mixed with Kennecott's nasty stuff. It's gonna be going in the ground to be filtered.
Right.
Well, and I have used you guys as an example of a reuse project that's beneficial for the lake, or at least neutral. And I think there's a recognition of that. What they're concerned about is public water suppliers that are diverting water from the Jordan River and are using it, treating it, and then discharging the treated water back in the river, which is providing a lot of the flows to the lake. What they're concerned about is if I'm a city that's doing that, instead of discharging that treated water, I just use it until it's extinct and there's no more water left. That's not your project.
Right.
So I'm not aware of any bills right now. There may be some more, but right now, I do think there's a recognition that we need to allow reuse. But what I think we're going to see is much more of a focus on, all right, this is a reuse project. We're gonna make darn sure that it doesn't hurt the lake.
Yeah, and Trevor and Dallas represented us in one of those committee hearings and making sure we're staying up on top. I wasn't able to make it, and they were able to go and support. And I think good to stay involved in those legislative issues and support Nathan. That was on Nathan's recommendation that we attend that, so.
Okay,
The other thing I just want to mention, we will be attending, the way that we kind of split the costs and keep them low, there are some League of Cities and Towns meetings and Utah Association of Special District meetings that are held every week during the session. We go those because they do all the work of summarizing the bills, and then we don't have to do that, and we can just send you, hey, we see this,
Yeah.
and keep track of it that way. It's a way to keep things cheap.
okay, thank you. Okay, Clint, is this next one yours?
It's Lee Isles.
Or Leal's, I mean, on the financial audit?
So all this is just for your information.
Okay.
I found out last week that our partner from the firm has had a heart attack last year. And he took it as with a jolt and said, I'm gonna slow my life down. He withdrew from being a partner, and he only works part-time at the auditor's office. So I had another partner call and said, we're unable to do your audit for 2022. So we're going to be going out for RFQs or RFPs for financial auditing service. Brought it to your attention because this was the first year that I was really excited. We could get it done early. Everything looks good. We're a lot further ahead than we ever have been, and
How long have we used these guys?
5.
5 years?
a little bit over 5 years. I believe I found we started with them in 14. So
Do you
it's
have anybody in idea? Do you have an idea?
none.
None?
Because isn't it good to like switch them out every 5 years, put out an RFP? It's time anyhow.
It was kind of, I mean, if we planned for it, we could have done it in
Right,
July.
right,
you know?
well,
Ooh, we better get on it though.
yeah, we better get it going.
I've got the RFQ ready to go out. I just wanted Clint to review it. And
Okay.
we can get it out.
Okay, thank you.
And then the next one's mine too. It's just wanted to let you know that the schedule of conferences has been put in your packet
Okay,
for the upcoming conferences.
Yes.
okay, seen that. Okay, thank you. Okay, how about, so on the 13th at 9 o'clock, we're gonna have a special board meeting discussion union negotiations, okay?
Want to make you aware of that.
Isn't that a
Okay,
workshop?
Yeah, workshop.
A workshop.
and that's the 13th,
13.
so that's next.
So the next meeting isn't in
Yes, like
January
next
and
Tuesday.
December. We proposed it to be January 20th, right? So next board meeting, we're proposing for January 19th.
Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
Is it
it's
Wednesday?
Tuesday, the horse races.
No, no,
It's Tuesday, Tuesday the 13th.
Is
Okay.
it Tuesday?
Yeah,
Yeah, Tuesday the 13th.
I won't be here.
okay.
I have to go to Idaho to a funeral.
We could make an adjustment if
But
we need to.
it's up to you guys.
Well, we were just invited, so.
So I guess one question I have with this is, this is gonna be a special meeting. It's something that can go into closed,
Right.
but it's still gonna need to be noticed.
Right.
Because it's,
Right.
And we'll have a quorum. If Danny can't make it, we'll still be able to have the
Quorum,
meeting with
right.
you too, but it'll probably just be a one-item agenda that'll just say, you know, board or union contract negotiation,
Yeah, Saturday,
prep,
Sunday,
closed meeting.
at least Sunday you go to Boise, and then the funeral's Tuesday, Monday, and I'll come back Tuesday.
If you wanna just pass along to me or Mick or Jeff your concerns, and I think it's just a, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish.
Just a pre-meeting
Yeah,
type
pre-meeting.
thing.
And Katie and then I have made some changes based on our prior discussions to the current contract that I'd like to present.
Oh,
Okay,
I'll send those to Clint and then you can maybe circulate them.
so that's next Wednesday, right?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, I
Are you
mean.
gonna be there on Tuesday night?
Yes, I'll be there on Tuesday. It's in the morning. I've got to fly to Vegas that
That's
night,
not
but
being told
I'm
you.
open that day. So I have it on my calendar. I'm planning on coming. Okay.
Okay. So our next meeting is going to be January
No.
9th.
19.
Okay,
How come it says January, December 8th?
I don't know.
And that's the corrected one.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have the dinner Friday night at 5:30, starting at 5:30. Okay, a discussion and a possible motion to approve the following training and safety items.
This is if some of these conferences take some planning, the ones that are listed there, if there's any interest in continued attendance, we think these are important conferences to attend. We find them very valuable. Want to gauge the board's input and interest in continued attendance on these. They're the National AWWA Conference, the WEFTEC Conference, and the GFOA Conference. I think we've got some information in here that proposes some costs for each of them that we'd like the board to review.
Our hotel prices are just crazy, ain't they?
No.
They are.
300.
Do we have, I know we've talked as a management team of who, do you guys have, can you present to the board who is planning on attending? Trevor?
Yeah, for the National AWWA, we're recommending 3 participants. That would be Raymond, myself, and then Steve. The operator has a little bit lower registration cost for that. We, with the lead and copper being a concern, there's great discussion at this conference, case studies of other utilities that have gone through the exercise, good information on that from the national and, EPA level. So we
Okay.
would greatly appreciate if we could go to it and gain some of that knowledge and experience.
Dallas, do you want to talk about the WEFTEC?
Sure, for WEFTEC, participation would include myself, potentially one operator. Trevor joined me this year, so, and then any board members that would like to go. As far as the rates go, I've tried to reach out to the hotels that are affiliated with the conference to try to get us the best rates. They've recommended, and I think one of the reasons we're bringing this to the board early is so many people are registering for these and booking these now that the prices are only gonna go up. You can see pricing is of a specific date, so part of our intention was just to say, some of these conferences have limited availability, and some of them we can anticipate price increases the closer to the event we book.
Is the hotel per night price that's listed there?
Correct. Wow. And then the red would be your total price.
And then the last one is the GFOA. Leal, do you want to talk about that?
Government Finance Officers Association. So this one, I have a lot of abouts because they didn't have the conference online. However, it did go online December 1st. This one is strictly CEUs for CPA training, and with the fraud risk assessment, I've got to have 40 hours in every year. We haven't attended for a couple years. It would be good to send myself to get caught up on the new laws.
How many do we have to go on field operator? How many are going to that?
None on that GFOA.
Yeah.
The national AWA, we're proposing one, although all three of you are operators.
We are, but they don't,
They not
they
regular?
only give the reduced registration for those that are actively working in operations,
Oh.
meaning.
So
you know,
engineering doesn't qualify then?
Even though I'm a registered operator and so is Raymond, being on management side.
They don't give
engineering,
you-
They don't.
Well, we
They
can
check-
change that.
They check those things.
We
so.
can get a letter, we can change that. You're
Yeah, that
You've been
doesn't seem
demoted.
right.
back
Yeah,
up.
I mean, I go tighten a few bolts and be like, hey.
So we have 3 people going to
One
the,
operator, one field operator at each of the two. And
on the
then
AWWA, how many do we have?
one field operator, 2 management staff.
Yeah,
Okay, 3
total
people.
of 3.
Okay. And then on the WEFTC,
3 people,
3 people.
2 management and 1 operator. And then 1 management on the GFOA.
Oh, I see.
So how come we don't have more
Operators.
operators than, we got more managers than we do operators going?
It's certainly up for discussion. We find that the national ones, a lot of it is planning. There are operator events, and there is quite a bit that an operator can glean from that. We typically would want our lead operators in the majority of time going to those. We think that would provide the most benefit, and they could come back and provide that training to their team. But we're certainly open to any
I'd
feedback
like,
from the board.
I always say this, so with all my contractor, with all my licenses, I'm required to take a minimum of 12 hours training. And I'm just wondering how much of this training that we can actually get online and qualify for.
I think that you can certainly get a lot of the pure training in other sources. I think the benefit comes in those things that it's a combination of getting the training and getting experiences from other organizations that are up against similar issues.
Yeah, but that's how many beers you can drink at night and stuff like that. No, I'm talking about.
Well,
I'm in.
there is that, but I can't tell you. I mean, I know it's tough when you're not going to them regularly, but
Yeah,
some of the most valuable information I've learned has been in the classes. Hearing case studies, we get so many case studies of, we're up against this issue, this is how we've resolved it, and we come back with ideas, how can we use that knowledge to make our situation and help address our situation. A lot of times, these regulations, we learn first at the national conference level, because a lot of other communities, it almost works outward from the coasts. The bigger cities and the coasts are out ahead, and they're doing a lot of these programs before they make their way to Utah. So we get the advantage of hearing and participating in those. And then we also get the equipment like we talked before. That one is very difficult to gain that insight online. When you're pulling apart pumps or you're seeing the actual equipment cutaways.
Right.
And you've got the manufacturers there talking. Do you want to give some?
One more thing to consider there, Mr. Chairman, is as the year progresses, I think the board should anticipate more operator involvement at some of the other conferences that aren't listed here. There's gonna be some training opportunities at the St. George ones. There's gonna be operator certification exams at some of those conferences this spring. So these are the ones that take longer to plan for and budget for. So if there's a a missing piece of the operator involvement here. I think we'll see those at the other conferences.
Well, like Jeff said, you know, after hours or whatever, drinking some brewskis, that's how we get smart.
No, I'm just saying, back in the day, you used to watch a film and stuff, and that's how you got it. They don't do that anymore.
No.
Now it's, you go through and you study the data, or you watch a film, then you take a test, then you watch more, or you read more, and you take a test.
Yes.
And it, believe me, it is very thorough.
It is.
But I'm just wondering, because you got certain places that are limited for either manpower or cost. I'm just wondering if any of this certification is given
Over.
online
Right.
that you can do here ourselves.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of, do we want the additional benefit or not?
Right.
Well, we don't know what's available, so if we don't look and we don't know,
Right.
then we don't have anything to compare with.
The CEUs that we get from, you know, as an operator to each year, you're required a number of CEUs. Those come from all these conferences, but they also do have individual training sessions throughout the month, you know, 1 or 2 a month for the year. Those used to be virtual, but as you're looking at the end of this year's calendar and next year's calendar, those are all going back to in-person. So there's not a lot of CEU online trainings.
That's,
Those are
oh, so
mostly-
that's even changing now again, huh? I wasn't aware
PDHs,
of that.
as far as engineering license, those are a mixed bag, but CEUs are mainly in person.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
On the GFOA conference, there are CEU hour classes on their website that can be done online. However, they do charge us. I would like to go back and see how much we actually paid for those 40 hours and see if it's comparable to
Okay.
the actual registration and costs.
Well, you know, and I have no problem sending our people, if it's gonna, you know, if it benefits us, but like I said in Jeff's response, if there's stuff online that we can get the certifications, and then you gotta weigh out the costs, and
Yeah. Our experience, I think my personal experience has been, I've always gained more benefit and felt like the conferences are worthwhile, but that's my experience.
Yeah, same as mine. I
then
feel
you gotta
that
give
that's
me
a lot
per
more
diem too on
beneficial.
top of that.
Do what?
Per diem,
Oh, you do? How much is that?
just depends on what it is.
Oh,
Okay,
so we need to make a motion.
if someone wants to make a motion to close the open,
No, do we need to make a motion on training?
yes, we do. Sorry.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the training. How do we know how much the per diem is, Leo?
We don't right now.
And the gas, yeah.
So are we just approving the training amounts?
Approving attending the number of.
Attendance would be okay.
Oh,
I think the
okay.
number.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve our training as listed in here for the 2 conferences, the National AWWA Conference on June 11th to the 14th, and WEF TEC Conference September 30th to October 4th.
I'll second that.
Any motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's motion to close the open.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to meet immediately in closed session to discuss character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual, collective bargaining, pending, reasonable, imminent litigation, and the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, including any form of water right or water shares pursuant to Utah Code 52-4-204 through 205.
Second that.
Been motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
It is 12:14. Someone want to make a motion to close the close and open the open at 2:13?
It's 2:13. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to close the close and open the open.
Second that.
Been motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman?
So do we have to bring up anything what we discussed? Okay.
We didn't, there's nothing that,
We didn't take business. I mean, okay.
there aren't any action items from the closed meeting that we can act on today.
Okay. So I want to take a minute, since we're in other business, I just want to thank each and every one of you guys for all your hard work and efforts. And sometimes us board people don't quite understand what's going on until you lay it out on the line and
Explain it to us.
and explain this. And sometimes, I mean, not in our defense, sometimes we get this stuff at such a late notice that it's hard to understand, you know, how it all works. But then once you guys explain it, we're fine. But it's just, it's like, and the bottom line, like I always say, is we again work for the town of taxpayers, so they're the ones that come after us. So if I'm gonna make sure I do something, I wanna make sure I have backup on my end, so.
So try to understand where we're coming from too.
But again, I want to appreciate like you guys, every one of you guys for your all hard efforts and I've asked Clint to check into the insurance because I want to see what the cost of that 100% cost if a district that, and again, like Jeff said, we don't want to compare ourselves to other districts, but I want to see what the costs are. Is it because it's cheaper for them because they got more employees than we do? But I'd like to visit that, and again, we as the board just want to make sure that we're here for you guys to work with you guys all, and as you know, I have an open door. You can come discuss anything with me, and we can agree to disagree. So that's all I have to say, and I want to wish you guys happy holidays.
Thank you, Nick. and
Same
Lauren.
here, and I wanna thank all of you too, I really do. And I'm happy the way things are running. It's run better now than probably ever has.
Well, we know it can still improve. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
No, it does. It proves every day it does. It's just like, I've been on this board 13 years and I'm still approving. And I don't know when I get off the board in 3 years, if how much more I'm gonna improve.
Well, I
You've
wanna,
improved a lot.
I wanna say that, I feel like we are a great team in this room, our attorney included. It feels like we're really functioning together well as a team, and that's awesome to be a part of.
Well, that's like I said too. I want to thank Nathan for all his hard work, and all because like I said, you notice what I always do before I get myself in trouble. I look over to him and ask him if it's okay.
Yeah.
And but like I said again, I do, and just so you know, I want you guys to be upfront and honest with us. If you have something that you don't agree with us, tell us. It's okay. I mean, I'm not gonna go home mad and be a grudge holder. I'm over that years ago. And so if you don't agree with come talk to us. Because like I said, I think we got great communication, and I'm gonna brag. I think this is probably the best board you guys could work for.
I agree.
Don't ask her to prove it, just talk to us about it. Sorry.
Do you have anything you want to say?
No, I didn't.
You said what a great job they do. So,
They did.
okay, if nobody has any other, do you guys have anything you guys want to mention or say or? Okay, if we see nothing, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. It is something, 2:17.
I'll second that.
It's been motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.